Hello. Um, I wanted to ask, who is it that doesn't waste his own life?
No, the point is, are you wasting yours? And it doesn't, like, why are you looking for misery loves company?
Hi, Kapil. Thank you for taking my question. Just wondering why you thought or why you think Siddhartha became enlightened living with a river guide and meditating under the Bodhi tree when he did a very similar thing with the Samanas but couldn't reach enlightenment while he was with them. Thank you.
So I've discussed this like in podcasts and I've written about it too. I mean, Siddhartha's enlightenment had nothing to do with meditation. And if it did, that might have been the final mile or something. It was his desire for truth. And if you read his story when he first went into the jungle and left behind his possessions, he found the ascetics for whatever it was, 6 or 7 years, and ate 1 grain of rice a day, drank his own urine, meditated for 24 hours a day or whatever it was, and did all the austerities that they told him to do. And by his own words, he was on the verge of death, and he was no closer to wisdom than he was when he left his father's house. And it wasn't until after he left all that nonsense and left all teachers behind and all methods behind that he found enlightenment. So, I've spoken about that before. If meditation created enlightenment, then how many meditators do you have in the world? I mean, and how many Buddhas do you have in the world? It's just second grade logic.
Hey, Kapil. Thank you for the work that you do. One of the most probably fundamental understandings that I've had through your work, which I think I know at first it was intellectual, but somehow now over time has come a deep understanding that I live by, is that difference between intellectual learning and true understanding. And in short, intellectual learning is empty. And I'm grateful enough to have realized this now that having young kids and how I approach raising them. I guess my question is, so I've had this realization that perhaps there's effectively one truth or the truth. And certainly there's, multiple truths that can be derived from this understanding of nature. But and in fact, when I read your book, Direct Truth and other discourses that you have, I can see how these different truths could also be derived from this one unadorned truth. But I'm wondering, is this just a mind game I'm playing? Which I don't believe it is, just based on these understandings I have. But I wonder what your view is.
I don't understand the question.
I guess my question is, with the texts that you have, the different various books you have, the various discourses that you have, there's multiple truths that you speak about, all which have quite profound, deep messages, or maybe not messages isn't the right word, but meanings behind them. But I feel like, based on my own understandings and realizations, that the root of them is all one truth. Does that resonate, or do you feel like this is just another game of the mind?
I think there are some truths that are very, very foundational, and there's not a million of them.
Right.
But it's kind of like the truths that are like absolutely foundational are so out of reach to human beings that like they're impractical. And impractical doesn't mean there's something to do and therefore it's harder for you to do. Impracticality doesn't mean there's like difficulty in doing. By impractical, I mean impractical to understand. And even the things that I write about that are not even foundational truths, everyone is struggling to understand, and they're bringing, like I told the other caller, their own A, B, C, and C's, because of a lack of prerequisite understanding of various other truths that are necessary before and after X truth to understand the whole thing. And so, but the foundational ones, I mean, like it's like telling a 75-year-old man, who has arthritis and and a replaced hip and knee, to go climb Everest tomorrow afternoon, and I'm not giving you any oxygen, and I need you to do it in 3 hours. It's impractical, right?
Right.
So while the while the while you are technically correct, not necessarily just saying one truth, but there's some foundational truths, but technically correct doesn't really get you anywhere on a practical everyday level, right? So it's just theoretical. So like you have to be, and I hate saying that because it sounds like I'm implying that you should be this way or try to strive now to be. And I'm not. Nothing. I couldn't. You couldn't be further from the truth by thinking that I'm saying that. I'm just saying you have to be
Right.
like this devoted, dedicated, rare 1 in 100 million human who is willing to do anything and open his mind and willing to throw away all his garbage and like it's once again there may be 2 people on the planet, okay, and even that's probably optimistic. So while technically you may not be wrong, it doesn't really go anywhere. Because that's like saying, well, is it possible to climb Everest with no oxygen and a replaced hip in X amount of hours? Sure. Okay, but so what? Like, are you going to do it? Like, is it going to actually happen? So just because you want to write the theoretical possibilities, that's just a waste of time. Philosophy goes nowhere. The only thing that means something is things that are absolutely acutely relevant to your life and are 100% practical. That's why spirituality and self-help is nonsense, because it isn't practical. It's just practice. It isn't practical. It doesn't get you anywhere. That's all that matters, right? Technically correct, philosophically correct. Those things they're not acutely relevant to your life. And if it isn't acutely relevant to your life, it might as well be a lie.